Today we're going to talk about organizing a set of technical documents that might be plentiful. And we're going to use that in Obsidian. We're going to eventually, I'm going to show you the beginnings of how to generate a roadmap such that you see on here. We're going to be working with the NASA technical standards, which is published. Before that, let's show the disclaimer. The short version is that this is in my personal capacity, not NASA or my employer. Okay, let's begin. So these documents are a set of PDFs that could be downloaded. And here is the beginning of the download, right? So people typically in organization, they download documents, they organize it into files such as seen here. Here's some of the NASA standards. Maybe they change it after a while. So let's start as someone would start. They would open up the folder that they create, start with nothing in there, just basic Windows documents, and they would have a set of files and they see their PDFs over here. And so I want to introduce the concepts of master of content, which means that uh, it's a organizational hub for the ideas. And so we're going to say, let's talk about structural. And so I'm doing the double slash and coming in and it's auto completing for me. Here's the structural design manual and here's the fracture requirements. There you go. NASA standard 5019. So now I've just created a note. And if I go to this tab over here, I can say hover and I can see my note over here, hover, right? So that's the beginning over here. And this is by default. Let's look at some of the settings that I have. I'm going to change it. We're going to upgrade this. Again, we're working with the documents. So under the editor, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, files and links. You might want to turn on show all file types if you have documents and PDFs in there. Appearances. Um, there are certain themes that you can download. You can say LYT, install, and then it changes the format a little bit, more readability. And you can choose light or dark theme, but we already adapted that. For some of the community plugins, you'd want to turn them on and browse for them. And some other ones you might want to use is iconize, numerals, and when you close this, I forgot to enable it over here, iconize. And so now we can say, right click on some and say change the icon. And we would say any one of these icons, we can go through it. But I'm just going to choose one over here. Some of them have color, some of them don't. So change the color maybe. So you'd want to pick your color bar and enter, save changes. So you can do organizational like that, change the colors of items and everything. So now we have one note. So what do we have here in our graph view? One note, right? So I went over here to the right on the graph view. Okay. So again, some of the filters, if we want to see everything, we see all the attachments, right? We see that we have no tags. Okay. So back to the master of content. So now let's create a note about more specifically about the fracture control requirements. Let's have a double one over here. And so we have new note. So fracture control requirements. I'm just making it really short. And so let's go ahead and I'm going to right click and say new tab to the right. And I want to work with both of them at the same time, except I'm using this to flow between the items. So here we have the fracture control requirements, right? It's automatically picking up where I left off. I'm gonna go up over here. I'll just show you. So if I go back, so if I want to click on this, then it's picking up where I left off, right? So that's great, right? So specifically, I'm looking for, first of all, when you get a document, you want to look at the table of contents over here. And so I can see this is typical of what you see in other PDF editors. But I want to see if there's existing table of contents to work with because I want to talk about that. So these are done outside and they are overlays. The specific section that I'm looking for is some of the approaches for, we're going to do, go ahead and say low risk parts, right? So in my note, I'm going to say this is for parts, right? And so let's go ahead and go to that section over here. Um, Now, these highlightings were done outside, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And there's obviously a section over here. So let's talk about how you get links into the notes, right? So if I come over here and I right click, um, there's considered annotations, bookmarks. So there's a whole terminology about what's inside of a PDF. So we are working with, these notes are markdown files. So they are separate from typical PDFs, but in my opinion, it'd be easier to delete all the bookmarks that are done outside and start again, or you can work with them, right? Do the in between, do the important dots. So you have things like this, right? So for example, this link, I'm working with the bookmarks. I can say over here, here is my link for the low risk parts, right? Even if I was up over here, I can say I'm clicking on it and it's taking me to that section, okay? Now I'm going to go back over here. That's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and come over here in this window over here. I'm managing the two windows. You can see which one is highlighted. And say there's a specific section that I want to talk about. Like say this check right here that needs to happen for the low risk part. This section 2. Now this is not in my existing bookmarks. So I would want to hover, okay, and right click. And now you have a couple of options. Okay, copy as quote will give you what you highlighted plus the link. Copy link will just give you the link. Okay, I like copy as quote because it allows you to see a little bit inside of your notes. So I would copy it as a quote and I would say part A. Actually, this is 6 uh, A, and then I can have this as, I'm just going to paste it in here. It has my little quote and it has the link to the section. And if I want to highlight this, I'm going to right click and say paragraph heading 2. I just keep it as heading 2. So everything's over there organized. And then over here, for example, in my master of contents, let's go back to it. Let's look at what we're creating over here. So these are to the PDFs. I'm going to go ahead and say see detailed notes in, and I'm going to point to the fracture control, right? Okay. Now I'm kind of linking the two ideas together, the overall master of content and over here. So now I created a link. And if I undo this over here, I can see a little bit where the beauty of it is that I can see, I'm going to turn off the bookmark because if I do this, it's a preview of this window over here. So I'm just going to hide this sidebar because it's taking the whole window to preview. Hover right over here. And then now I'm looking at the exact thing and it's highlighting to me over here what I did, right? So once again, you don't want to, it's a little flaky on working with what's already inside the PDF. So you might want to select a space to the right. You can change the quote and and that helps you with that section. These sections can be collapsed and expanded. Another thing is that you can come, we'll save that for another discussion. Forget about that over there. So we have the two items. And so maybe I have a specific idea, right? So I showed you how to do the links, and I'm gonna take it into the edit mode and go into the link, again, let's talk about it. It's the double bracket, double bracket. Now, this is a specific way of linking to a document in Markdown. So I obviously have the PDF, and then I have the page number and selection. So I have coordinates. And up at that point, that defines exactly how I want to zoom in. Then, and this is why I like this, because you're zooming into a certain region, and this doesn't exist in other PDF viewers, right? Or maybe it does, or maybe it's hard to get to, right? And that's what it's important when you're trying to link all your ideas together, is that you want something that works in the way you think. I want it here. I want it now. It's here. Go to it, right? Two documents. Go to them. Go to them, right? And then the rest is the title, right? It's a little small. I wear glasses, so I can still see it. But there's a bar right here. Now this rest is the title, which you can change. It's a little long-winded. The second part, I can just say something else. Right. So there I am over here. So now this is the main title over here. Okay, and I can undo it, right? So let's just have it just so we know which document we're referring to. Now if there's an idea, right, that's in your head right here, you need to implement this calculation, or check your report first for low risk. Okay, that's an idea, right? Um, so I can do two things with this to help me out. Hashtag low risk report check, right? Or, so those are tags. Or I can come over here and do a block, what's called a block. And I'm going to do a caret and say low risk check, right? Okay, that forms. So a block is at the end of your central idea, right? So that allows you to go to this is just like we form links to specific sections in PDFs. This allows you to go to specific parts in your notes, right? So there's note referral and there's blocks. You're going to use those two together. And I'm going to show you outside over here in the master of content. Again, two notes, right? So uh, remember these important this. Now, this is the way you reference it across, right? So here, double, right? I know what I'm looking for. It's going to autocomplete. I forgot if it's low right there. Okay, you have to do the what you're in first, right? That page over here. So I hit the FCR. If I click here, I think it completes it for you. I have to go back in there. Remember, this is your friend. This means that I'm editing mode, right? That I'm editing. If I want to go to reading mode, I would click here, right? Which locks all the things down. You cannot edit or go into the links. So all I'm going to do is do the caret symbol, and it picks up specifically that block right there. Okay. So when I go to the reading mode over here, and I'm going to, it picks up a block. It's doing the ID for me, and then in I can see preview what I was doing in that actual sentence, right? And then I can click on it. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait a minute. That was an internal one. Wait. Stop right there. Um, Let me go back over here. Let's go back. This was something else. So low risk check right there. So I'm looking at the idea right here, right? So this highlights all the ideas that I had, and it's kind of going through it as auto completing. And then so I put it in there. So now I have the reference to that section. So say if I was reading over here this note, I think I added a little extra. There you go. So say if I was reading this note over here and I'm going to a specific section in another note, I would click on it and it automatically goes to that location, right? Okay, now linking the ideas together. There's a graphical way, we'll get to it in a bit, but there's also the typical standard way, right? There's forward links and back links. Now I'm going to turn on this sidebar over here and I'm going to see that this note mentions these other two notes, right? I'm going to the forward link, right? And then now the back links over here. And then, so now other notes reference it at these location, right? And so now I'm sorry, these are the forward links, which means this note is referencing another document. The backlinks, other documents are referencing this note, right? So the tags, there's one tag, risk report check, and I think that's all we need that I use in this window in my capacity over here. And so now let's turn on what we did over here with the graph view. We created ideas between two nodes, which is wonderful, right? Um, and so now these notes, there's more to it because we have all these files in here. So these notes over here, let's turn on the attachments. Okay, so these notes are linking these documents over here, right? And I can see how everything is linked, and I can turn on my display, turn on my arrows, bring on my thicknesses over here. So now it's kind of relating everything. So now I'm in a graph view, right? And I can even animate this to see how my idea, all the formings or to demonstrate a concept and things like that. This is everything in my directory. Wonderful. There's more, okay? I can turn on my tags and I can see, okay, there are tags. So it's getting your ideas together, however it is to visualize it. So this framework is an overlay over Windows. It's complementing it. In other tutorials, I show how to work with this and Windows environment so that you don't destroy things, work with the best of both worlds. And you can search through filters if I just want to see my PDFs, if I want to see JPEGs, for example. Um, I don't have those on right now. So, and I think that's it over here. Uh, okay, we're good. Again, tags, you know what tags are. Attachments are anything that is not an Obsidian file. Files considered markdown files. They are bases and they are canvases, and there might be a few other and some internal directory that's created in your directory structure, which begins with .obsidian and it has internal items that needs to organize. For example, you open the PDF last at this location. Things. Okay. So you have the notes, right? So now let's generate a roadmap, right? Let's work with the canvas. So let's make a canvas over here. So let's say the roadmap, right? And so a canvas is different than a note, right? I love canvases, right? It's the concept of an infinite desktop, right? So the way it works, so I have these two notes over here, and I have PDFs, right? It allows you more artistically, graphically to create what you want to see. First of all, I have this master of content. I just dragged it in there. This is a live representation of this over here. And if I wanted to create it smaller, it's scrollable. It's scrollable, right? It puts in the title over here. Okay. And now I have the fracture control over here. Great. It's scrollable. And I can say, you know what, link these over here. Maybe I want to change the color of it because fracture is important, right? And I want to change the color. Blue, a little addition over here, right? Purple over here. Now, we haven't created one for the structural design, right? And that's fine. We can do that for demonstrated purposes. But if you had one, you can come in here and link it over here as well. And so again, this is live. And what's great about this is that it actually has a preview window, right? So we're looking at, you can move this around. So I'm going to select, and I can actually make a group and say fracture control path, whatever you want, right? And so now it's a group. Selecting it, I can move it together over here. And I'm going to move this down for the title. And that's fine. Maybe make the group a little bit bigger. Okay. And so the thing is, you can kind of get your ideas like this. This doesn't exist in other software that you might have thought was similar from this. And so now we have actual, when you click once, you can come in here and you're actually previewing the document. And it is a scrollable preview, right? So now you have your ideas together. Well, what about this document? It is scrollable, okay? And so again, now I'm over here. You see how it's at the section that I want it to be at, which is wonderful, right? So now you have a way to get right to this section. And if you wanted to, you can say open a new tab. So if I want this over here, I have this in a new tab. Sorry about that. Um, let's see, where am I over here? Let me go back over here and over here. So right click over here, open a new tab, and actually, no, let's not do that. This over here, right click, open to the right. Okay, so now let's just work with these two windows. I'm going to close this over here and then show this over here. So now I'm able to scroll this. I'm in another section because I need to read up and down. And if I need to create a note to something more specific, I can actually continue on with this. Um, and then, for example, let's just, for the sake of discussion, um, so it's caution, do this, right? So now I'm over here working in the canvas, and these are my temporary notes. And then satisfy all of right over here. I'm highlighting, right click, copy as quote, and then I'm going to paste it over here. Okay, so I'm running out of room. Let's go ahead and grow it and grow it. Right. So, oh no, a caution. You can color it and you can bring it over here, move it around, and there you go, right? And so the great thing is, again, you click a little bit off, get inside, but not where you're editing. And so now you're doing doubles right there. Okay. So now I'm back on this section, kind of referring to my thoughts, but also hovering and then getting ideas from both areas, right? I'm scrolling. And so that's how you build up the roadmap. So another thing is that's useful. I'm going to go ahead and give quick discussion. Let's see, I think I've covered everything that I want to cover over here. So let's go ahead and turn on this over here. Again, this is a starting example of where you want to, how you want to approach it. I'm going to come over here and recheck my plugins. These ones, Iconize helps you iconize numerals, does you live calculations, and I believe, okay, so now I'm going to switch over to a file set that I already have ready, right? Okay, that's fine. So this is just a demonstration, a starting point. So now I'm going to go to my what I'm working with, right, which has more ideas and thoughts together. Again, they're just ideas and thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that. So let me go ahead and close this. I'm going to close this, close, close, right? Okay. So what I did was now I'm in another vault, right? And so this has more of my ideas together. I'm going to go ahead and look at my master of content again. Again, this is a new. If I want to go back to that demo, it's over here. If I want to go over here, it's over here. Right. So here I have the things that I was working with, some of the documents, right? Some of the things for fasteners, and I showed you how to do links. So I'm going to turn on the community plugins again, the editor. Let's see. What Go ahead and go to the light mode that you're used to, one that I like, community plugins. Come over here, come over here. Nothing new that you haven't seen before. And now I can expand this over here. Expand all. Okay. Now let's go to the graph view over here. I'm working with a little bit more of ideas and concepts, which can be filtered out and the way things are relating to each other. That's what I have right now as far as my roadmap. But over here, I gave you the beginnings of a roadmap. Now let's see what else you can do with it. It just looks like boxes, but let's zoom in a little bit where you can go with some of these things. So what I'm showing it over here is that what I already showed you, the master of content. It's actually a drag and drop. Now, oh, this is what I didn't show you. So I'm showing ideas going from one document to another. Again, this is just a sketchboard for everything. You can hover and remember what you were doing. Uh, these are more organized sections for me, breaking them down into details. Some of these were scratch notes. I was working with equation writing, so take it with a grain of salt. Again, remember the disclaimer at the front. And so this is a way of organizing the flow. uh, like everyone's ideas and thought processes changes for a while, after a while, because you form different mentalities. So everything is just considered a work in process, right? And so you can gather your ideas, and a lot of times with engineering, the information is stored in different places, but the ideas, we don't want to, we're not linear in thought, the way you want to have things linking together, those ideas. You want to go from one idea to the other, from one location to the other, and you have the information here and there, and then you make a decision, right? So let's go ahead and come over here. I forgot to talk about this right here. So what I'm doing over here, again, I got you familiar with how to make links, how to do blocks, looking at your backlinks, looking at your front links, and those are important within any document. But this right here, the way you organize those ideas, all I'm doing is, let's see, let's do it twice, right? Because the flip-flopping up and down in a document to make a decision is pretty it's not fun, right? So here I have a table of contents, but let's do it again, and let's do it again. Okay, so now let's get right the way, and however you want to think it, right? So now I'm bringing them side to side. So now the sections that were important to me, I can make these bigger. Okay, so I can come down to a section that's important. Let me just go ahead and zoom in, get that scroll working, zoom back out. Let's go ahead and use the pages. So we're going to page 22, for example, page 11, right? And so those things that might be important that we don't want to go back and forth, we want to see things side by side in our own way, um, is possible. We know the document it came from. We know that we have to go from here to over here, and we can group our ideas together again, color code them, visual purposes. And so now maybe it forms an idea that's better in our head. We can see it better, right? Whatever was confusing us, we can do a little bit better. So let's talk about formulas and equations. I believe I have some down over here. So in miner's rule. So I'm going to come over here and just talk a little bit about that, right? So formulas, it might be better. You can see that I have latex inside of these dollar symbols. Now that's when I want to talk about something in one line. So hi, use this and have fun, right there. So it's inline, right? But if I wanted to do the same thing, and this is with no additional plugins, so say I wanted to form a block. Now this is a block, right? So what this does is this centers it. I don't know what I did there. This centers it, and you have this little code block right over here that you can edit it. I think I have, yeah, there I did an extra one. There you go. Let me undo, undo. Mhm. Right. Or you can use it below. So what you want to do by default, just if you have the default, no attachments. I'll talk about numerals in a bit. But if you want to do equations, these are the two ways. Another a good way to get the equations, of course, and one of my favorite is over here in Copilot. So what is the equation? Give me for f equal ma in some form, right? So you have the latex, and so it gives you these already, right? Let's just see how it copies and pastes. No, I don't think it's going to do it. Just say no latex in Obsidian block, um, for example, like this. No, actually, this is the pure latex. Dun-dun-dun. Over here, you don't even have to say that. It's just like that right there. So it gives you the code to do, right? I don't know what it's doing, but over here. So you copy it. It's not even a code. It's more like just syntax, right? And you end it, and then there it is. Maybe I put an extra one over there. There, right? Just a posed question. But that's how you can take notes on that. Now, I'm going to go to the formulas over here because I want to talk about the inline equations for those that need it over here. So what am I doing here? Let's see. So now this requires the plugin called numerals. Um, let's go ahead and look at one over here. So this is I'm looking at a note. Um, hi, do these right here over here. And what creates a block, like this is the math block, and it's actually doing units, and then it's computing it on the side. These are for some quickies. And these have nothing to do with anything. These were, I was just working with these. So here at the bottom, let's go ahead and do what you want to do to start a math block is do the that forward apostrophe, right? And just say math. And so now you can do 1 space inch plus 1 space foot and give me the conversion in to inches, right? That's all that I did up here, right? And so now you just go ahead and click out of it, and then it comes in over here. That is how you implement some of the equations. You see, you can just have some complex, and this comes straight. Just ask Copilot, put them in the inside the dollar signs, and there you go. Let me go ahead and just see if there's anything else I need to discuss. As far as window management, again, you know how to get to the graph view. You can collapse this on the side, work with the notes. You can right click and say, check my backlinks over here. There's nothing mentioned. Uh, then also look for open to the right. Let's see, something for organization. You can split right, split down. And then now that I know that which window I'm in, I want to come over here and look at a different item. Go back to my master of content and then uh, not open it like that. Um, Go to a specific section. I can change this, whatever I was looking at, and then let's go to my canvas over here. Look at the canvas. So I'm actually looking at different ideas at the same time. Let's come back over here. And so you can flip flop back and forth, and that's a little bit about the window management. Well, thank you very much for the discussion.